I've noticed a lot of faces and some new ones. So, hey everybody, I'm Jeff. I've met a few of you. Quick question. So 3 choices. 1, who's interested in a sales pitch? 2, who's interested in a venture capital fundraising pitch? Or 3, who's just generally interested? So 1, sales pitch. 2, 3, raising money. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. General interest. Okay, good mix. Well, as we started to do this, I framed it. You'll see it's interesting because there's a lot of similarities. So I framed it as a general pitch, and we'll talk about how we're going to customize that for your need. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Thank you, Eddie, for pulling that up. And just to go over, so I've done this before. I've pitched, I've sold as an entrepreneur. I've listened both here at Pace and as a venture capitalist to many pitches. And then I've also pitched my ideas for fundraising. So I've been through the routines. They are very different pitches, sales and fundraising, but at the same time, there's a lot of similarities, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, thank you. All right, good. All right, so that's me. We have to discuss that. But what is today? Just quickly, so we're all clear. Today's about the focus is on the content of the pitch, right? So we're not going to be going over things like your appearance or presence, dress for success, or give a firm handshake, or even within there, we're not going to be talking about how to make your pitch visually appealing or design. It's really about the words you're saying, and the words are coming out of your mouth. The second is a general structure. We'll focus on the core of your pitch, okay? We will briefly discuss how to tailor it for different strategies, whether fundraising or sales. But of course, you will need to learn how to tailor that based on your audience and your strategy. But that's something we can discuss during office hours one-to-one if you want to do so. And today's content is broadly applicable. I've met several of you. Some of you have service businesses. Some of you have product businesses. And some of you have tech businesses. It's a broadly applicable framework. And so in that sense, it's going to be hard to tailor to each one of you. Okay, but again, I'm here. We can talk about it afterwards. We might bring up some examples where you can actually hear one-on-one your examples and go through that. And of course, there's office hours for EIR office hours. All right, so that's what to expect today. Okay, so again, I kind of tailored this to be broadly applicable. We're going to talk about sales presentations, fundraising, and marketing, everything together. And you'll see there is a common thread and a core competency around pitching that we're going to talk about. Okay. So I like to think about it this way as the layers of the pitch. So in this onion example, we have the core of your pitch. That's the primary focus today. The primary focus today, we're going to talk about the core value proposition of your pitch. We are going to talk about how to add on layers based on if your strategy is for fundraising, for sales, or for marketing. Okay? And again, like I said before, we'll briefly talk about those layers. But of course, every pitch is different, so we can talk about that one-on-one. We will not really get into tailoring it for your specific audience. Again, it's really hard to do because each one of you has such various businesses and various audience. Okay? So, but the core of this is, what I say is that you can actually have one thought process on a pitch and be applicable to fundraising, marketing, and sales because there is a core part to the pitch, and we're going to talk about that. There's an essence to your pitch that is super important, whether your audience is an angel investor or a buyer, or somebody that you want to influence later on in marketing to become a buyer later on. There's a core essence to your pitch, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Okay? So, before I get into the core, I will say one thing is that I think one of the reactions will be, well, okay, but hey, for a venture capital pitch, there's so many other parts to it. I got to talk about my competition. I got to talk about my revenue model, my forecasting. I agree. I'm not saying that the core part of your pitch is the only part. What I am saying is if you don't get your core of your pitch down, none of these pitches will be successful, right? My opinion, you can disagree, is you can get the core, you can nail the core and get the other parts slightly wrong and still nail the pitch. But if you don't nail the core, like you will not nail the pitch, no matter what your audience or your strategy is. Okay, so that's my philosophy. All right, what is the core of this pitch? This magical core to the pitch. Here's what I like to think about when I think about the core of the pitch. It's 4 things. One, the most important thing. Everyone asks me, what's the format for the pitch? I don't know. It depends on what your pitch is. But I know one thing. You have to clearly articulate your value proposition. Your value proposition is the most important thing. That is, what is the problem you're solving, and what is your solution for solving that? Okay? Everybody wants to know, why am I sitting across this table from you here today? Whether you're asking me for $1 million in fundraising, or you're asking me for a contract, or whatever it is, everyone wants to know, why am I here today? And that is the value prop. What is the problem you're solving, and what is your solution? This is not your company tagline or your slogan, okay? It's not your slogan, right? It's really more detailed than that, okay? So first, what is the problem? What is your solution? The second, bring it to life for me, right? That could be a prototype, screenshot, example output, a mock-up. Okay, great, you told me you're gonna solve it. Maybe you explained it to me, show me. Show me something that I have confidence that you have an idea of what you're doing, right? The third part is proof points. Prove to me it works. That could be statistics or results from previous tests. We've run a bunch of trials. This helps our customers increase their sales by 100%. Great. That is a great proof point. A testimonial from our customer or client. Another great proof point. In lieu of that, a case study, an example, a quote, a lightweight quote, something very tangible to show me that it works. You can see, what is your problem? What is your solution? Show me your solution. Show me it works. Okay? Show me it works. And the last thing, the most important thing, we always forget, have a clear ask. Clear is the most important thing I'm talking about here. Clear, clear, clear. Okay? Not just an ask on, well, yeah, I hope you consider me sometime. What do you want, right? Sales is easy. There's a price. I want you to pay this price. Can you pay this price for my service or not? Pitching should be easy too for venture capital funding. I'm raising X dollars, and I will put it to use in these ways, right? But the ask has to be clear, okay? So you can see the thought process, right? And so we're going to talk about that in a second, but you can kind of see why it's broadly applicable, right? We'll go backwards in my examples, right? Marketing. You receive an email, you go to the website. What do you want to know? You guys have received that email, that marketing email. You clicked on an ad. What do you want to know when you get onto that? We call it a landing page, okay? You click on an email or an ad and you go to the website. That doesn't always mean it's the home page. It's a page that you land on. The landing page, what do you expect to see? I expect to see, what is this? What is this and what's the offer, right? What is this and what's the offer? A fundraising pitch, it's pretty clear that person sitting across the table from you wants to know, what's the problem you're solving and what's it worth, right? If you're selling something to somebody, why do I care? What's my problem? How are you going to solve it? Okay? So, broadly applicable core to the pitch. We're going to talk later about how it's tailored to each concept. Before I jump into that, any questions? Questions? Okay. So, this core, we're going to practice right now. Let's bring it to life, okay? Let's bring it to life. Let's talk about a product you're all familiar with. It's a SaaS product, software as a service. It's a software product that impacts your life every day. I think most of you, if not all of you. It's probably your first experience with enterprise software, okay, as a user. Something that impacts me as a professor and all your professors as well. Anybody know what product I'm talking about? You use it at least every week, if not every day. Lalima, yes! Lalima. I'm not saying you love it. I'm not saying you hate it. I don't know. But Lalima, okay? I choose this one because we all know this one, okay? So, here's the exercise. We're going to talk about the core of our pitch, okay? First up, we're going to take 1 minute on your phone, on a piece of paper, just write down, what's the description? What is Lalima? 1, 2, 3 sentences, okay? I'll give you 1 minute. We're at 2 minutes. We're going to run this 2 minutes. And then we're going to ask somebody to share their description of Lalima. Okay, 2 minutes. Let's go. If for some reason you're not familiar with Lalima, you can skip this exercise. But if you are, which most of you should be, please tell me, what is Lalima?
it'll get replaced.
Yeah. Even, regardless of what it is, what is La Lima today? All right, 90 seconds. Could be one sentence description, 2, 3. Make it short, make it brief. What is La Lima? Describe it to me. Oops, I said take 3 minutes. I meant 2. 2 minutes. All right, 1 minute. Wrapping up. Everyone knows what La Lima is. What is your description of La Lima? All right, there we are, La Lima. All right, who wants to share their description of La Lima? Anybody?
Yes, we would like to introduce you on a cutting-edge online platform that helps students of learning experience, allow them to study as well as to submit assignments.
Okay, cutting-edge learning platform allow you to study and submit assignments. A great description. Anybody else?
Resources and management software where students can access course materials and submit assignments, and professors can grade assignments and share grades.
Great. Allows you to study, submit assignments, share grades with your professors. Awesome. Great descriptions. Let's try a different pitch, right? Let's try a different approach. What pain points does La Lima solve? We can do this as a group. What pain points does La Lima solve? Anybody?
Access to
Pain
grades, like you can see your grades.
Is that a pain point? What is the pain point though?
Oh, the pain point is the student doesn't know their grades.
Okay. Or maybe it's before, how would that happen? You guys don't know. Professors usually post the grades on the door, right? When I was in university, professor would post your grade on the door. Some professors were nice and would anonymize it. Some would just put your name next to it. Okay. So access to grades in a secure way. Okay, accessing grades in a secure way. What other pain points does La Lima solve?
Feedback is solve the problem of its continuous. It has like continuous communication between professor and student.
What's the problem? That's a feature. What's the problem?
The feature is that
No,
the student can only get the professor like 1 or 2 hours a week.
Okay, the problem is in the offline world, students have to go to office hours. In La Lima world, you can send your professor a note at any time. Okay, so asynchronous communication, another problem. Secure grades, asynchronous communication. Anything else?
Homework, assignments.
What's the problem? That's a feature. What's the problem?
Collecting assignments on time.
The accident? Say it again?
Collecting assignments on time.
Yeah, collecting assignments on time. Collecting. Before, you had to print it out and put it in an inbox somewhere, right? Here, if you're finished early, you can submit it early, right? You don't even have to go to class to submit it. Amazing. You don't have to see the professor's face. Okay, so 3 problems we just talked about. Submitting problems when you want to submit them in a simple digital way. 2, asynchronous communications was hard before. Now I can do that. 3, receiving grades was not private and secure. Now it is. Did you notice the way I sequenced this though, right? The first one I said, give me a description. This description you gave me was actually not pain points, it was features. You talked about submitting, interacting with your professors. You talked about being able to manage your courses. Those are features, okay? There's a big difference between features and problems, right? Big difference between features and problems. Now let me give you a more extreme example, right? So my company, we do AI video, right? So great, you can use AI to make these videos. You can clone your voice, you can clone you. Those are features. So when we go talk to a customer, the first thing he says, like, okay, like what do you want me to do with that, right? Like, but based on our customer, we can say, well, hey, you're a small business. You can't always reach your customer. What is your pain point? Your pain point is how can you be everywhere at once and have conversations in a personal manner and asynchronously with your clients? Well, now you can replicate yourself with artificial intelligence, right? There's a big difference there because when you talk to customers or venture capitalists and you talk about the features, it's kind of like, well, what do I do with that, right? And that's why when you guys say, oh, it's about grading, it's about sending your professor a note, my first question to you, if I was a buyer or a venture capitalist, I'd say, do I care? Does that matter to me? Because are you solving a problem is my core point, right? So you guys talked about the features, which are great, but I asked you to step back and first talk about the problem. Because then I'll understand, as a venture capitalist, like, I understand the problem you're solving, okay? And that's more compelling because people buy things that solve problems. People don't buy features, okay? As a customer, that's compelling because hopefully that problem you told me is actually my problem and you knew my problem. Hopefully you did the research, you talked to customers, and the problem you're talking about is actually my problem. And customers pay for things that solve their problem. They don't pay for features, okay? All right? So, all right. Now take another 2 minutes, write a clear problem statement and a description of how Lalima solves that problem. You don't have to pick all 3 problems. You can have a different problem statement that you like, but what's a problem that Lalima solves? What's the problem statement and how does Lalima solve that? Okay? All right, 2 more minutes. A hint to you guys, your initial statement probably was pretty good at how Lalima solves that, but you probably didn't talk about the problem, right? So you might be able to reuse some of what you had before. Okay, 1 minute. All right. Who wants to share their new and improved statement, problem and solution? Anybody?
Would you like one sentence?
However many you got?
Okay. The problem statement is that in the modern educational landscape, education and students face significant challenges in managing coursework, communication, and collaboration efficiently. The complexity of managing multiple courses, assessment and resource deadlines creates a considerable hurdle. Furthermore, like the absence of centralized system of academic interaction hinder the potential interactive learning experience. So the solution would be Dorima addresses these challenges by providing an online platform designed to streamline educational process for both educator and student. So for educator, it helps them to organize course material, communicate updates, and force assessment in one centralized location. With the student, they can benefit from easy access to all the resources, ability to submit assessment digitally, and the opportunity to engage with peers and instructor to the forums.
All right. Walk even one step further. Problem, solution, and you talked about the features. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? All right.
Olema is an integrated course management service for professors and students, facilitating one-to-one interaction and tracking academic progress and assignments completely online.
Okay. All right. How would you reframe that as the problem, though? That's a great solution.
Completely online portion of define the problem.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Why do I harp on this problem? But the problem. Like, why is this so important? Right. I think I talked about it before. Like, people don't buy features; they buy solutions to their problem. Right. The other thing about it is, I think sometimes it's like it goes back to like why are you here? If you're an entrepreneur, why are you here? Ideally, you're solving a problem, right? You've done customer research, you have a problem that you want to solve, and you are launching a product, a business to solve that problem, right? I think the danger of so many things of what we do as entrepreneurs is you think about features. Wouldn't it be cool if we had an app that did this? Wouldn't it be cool if I had a product that did that? And so much of it's thinking about like what cool features you could add on, but not really understanding the problem that you're solving, right? And so inherently in this is it's not just about pitching, it's also about understanding the strategy about like what product or business you're launching, okay? Because they kind of, in this sense, they go hand in hand, right? And so it's not just about pitching, but it's also just about looking like, why am I here? And what am I solving? And what's the purpose of my business, okay? So that's why these are important. The last thing is, what about proof points? Let's brainstorm together. What proof points? You're pitching this to another university. What proof points would you show? You talked about the problem, online, offline problem, difficult to manage problem. We have all these solutions, all these features. What proof points would we share? Proof points being results from previous tests, testimonials from customers, a case study or example, something that says to another university, say we're walking down the street to HBU and we're saying like, you should adopt La Lima. Here's the problem, here's the solution. What proof points could we show them?
Do you have statistics of like the last organizational classroom software compared to La Lima and
Yeah.
percent efficiency difference?
Yes. La Lima saved the average student 30 minutes a day in administrative time. La Lima saved each professor 60 minutes every week on grading. He or she no longer had to tape the grades up on the door. Awesome. Great. Yes, a proof point from before and after, testimonial from a very satisfied student. I love La Lima. It is essential to my life. Okay. So we go back. We started with a description. A lot of you guys had a description, feature rich. We went back and said, actually, let's think about it. What problem were we solving? How do we solve that problem? And then how do we know that it works? Add some proof points in there. Already, you can kind of feel like it's a more compelling pitch, right? But again, part of what I'm saying too is like, why are we even here? We should understand the problem we're solving. Okay, but don't trust me. Let's look what the gurus have to say. so we're gonna go through one by one and look at different examples. Okay, so I went online, I did what you all would do, I Google searched, what is a great sales pitch? So here's two examples. Let's walk through. Who would know better than pitch.com? Pitch.com says, here's the sales deck. The sales deck has a product name, an agenda. It's always nice to have an agenda in a sales meeting. Oh, number one, it has the problem right away. Why should you care about the problem? Illustrate the problem in numbers, lost revenue, churn, etc. What is your solution? It's starting to look a little familiar, no? Right? What is your solution? Expand on your solution, give more detail, provide some numbers, maybe some proof points, benefits, differentiators, pricing. Pricing seems to me like a clear ask. How much does it cost? Customers, seems like a proof point, no? Look at all the great customers we have already. A case study, an even bigger proof point. Okay. Another pitch from theamazingpitch.com, very similar. Company overview, what is the problem? Huge problem statement goes here. Who's your target audience? Oh, that's also helpful, okay. Why now? The solution. Okay, so I've gone ahead and summarized these. I've looked at a few examples and I've summarized it. Core structure is here. What's your company? What's your product overview? What is the problem you're trying to solve? Why is this problem important? What is your solution? Share details on how you solve your problem, your product features, etc. How much does this cost? Show all the customers that are using the solution. Ideally, they're satisfied and happy. And give statistics on customer adoption, customer results, and next steps. These cleanly align to what is your value proposition. Bring it to life with some examples. Have a clear ask, and share proof points, right? So, if you guys don't trust me, go ahead and go home and look at different sales pitches. You can see it cleanly lines up to these categories. Okay, let's try to think about what does a venture capital pitch look like? Again, don't trust me, let's trust the experts. This time I pulled from real experts. So this one is YC, Y Combinator. Y Combinator is like the biggest incubator, the original incubator, the most famous incubator. This is their pitch deck. Very cheeky in the Y Combinator way. They didn't go with the graphics. Much like me, they went on content, okay? So, seed deck, important, this is seed, so that means like our very early stage company, something like you guys are in, thought maybe an initial beta, but very, very early on. So, you can see here, their fake deck, founders build bad seed decks. You see the instructions here, this is where you clearly state the problem. All right. Our template solves this problem. This is the solution. You want to explain very clearly what you do in as few words as possible. Describe your benefits. Companies are using us. So this is where you describe your traction. How many companies are already using you? Money raised thanks to our decks. These are the companies that use us, have these great results. What traction? It looks very similar to the Y Combinator deck. What traction do you have? Traction meaning how many customers, how many who are using your solution. Why now? By the way, all pitch deck outlines look the same. They're pretty much like 90% the same. The market size, the competition, your business model, your team, your financial projection. They did not include the ask, which is kind of weird, but I went ahead and summarized that here for you guys so you don't have to keep reading back and forth. Here we go. So, a very typical fundraising deck says your company mission, what is the problem you're solving, what is your solution, what makes your company uniquely suited to solve this problem. What is your existing traction, meaning again, how many customers or how many people have tried your product, Why now? Why do we have to solve this problem? What's your market size? Who's your competition? What's your business model? Well, who's your team? What are your financial projections? And lastly, how much are you raising? And what will you do with it? So this cleanly aligns to the value proposition, proof points, what existing traction do you have, and having a clear ask. Now you might say two things. First, you'll say, well, what about this stuff? That goes back to our point about the layers, right? The core here is, what is your problem? Show me it works, give me proof points, okay? And my point in that one of the first slides, I showed you the layers, and as we go on, we add layers. So yes, in a venture capital fundraising pitch, you will have to explain the market size, the competition, how you plan to make money, right? If you guys want to talk more about this, we can talk about this afterwards. But my main point is, right up front, what's the first thing they talk about? The problem and the solution, okay? The core is still the same. And it's no mystery that they put that up front. They didn't talk about how do you make money or how big your market is up front. They talk about the problem and the solution right away, right? So 2 examples was the first thing out of their mouth, what's the problem and the solution, okay? The other thing you say is, well, you're missing the bring it to life. I would say usually if you've gone through a venture capital pitch in the solution, that's when you show a mock-up of like your solution, show a quick demo. So that's usually when you do bring it to life, okay? But again, the 4 core parts of the pitch. What's your value proposition? Bring it to life for me. Show me. Prove to me it works. And what is your ask? Okay? Pretty much the same as the sales deck. Now, the sales deck was nice in that it cleanly aligned to these 4 points. And my point is the layers a little bit, there's more layers to the venture capital pitch. Okay? And you can Google your brains out. All the venture capital pitches will have these 12 things, maybe a little bit more, but they all have this, okay? It's a very set formula. Okay, lastly, you can also apply this to marketing, okay? All right, so once again, I've done the work for you. I've gone through, let's talk about marketing. Now, marketing is broad. We're talking about email, we're talking about ads, we're talking about billboards. I went and picked one. I picked landing pages, okay? Landing pages are, again, you get an email, you see an ad on Facebook, you see a Google ad, you see a search ad, and you click on that link. The landing page is the first page you hit, okay? So it's a very important concept of marketing. You've got their attention, now what are you gonna tell them? All right, so let's see, HubSpot is a big marketing platform. What do they say? What is a landing page? All right, let's see. Boom, they neatly laid it out here for you. What is the benefit focus right away? What's the headline? What's the benefit? Another way to say to that, what is the problem and the solution? Okay. Choose an image that illustrates your offer. Bring it to life for me, right? Write compelling copy. Copy is the words on the page, so write in a compelling way. That's nice, that we should all do that. Then they have a lot of stuff here that's more specific to online marketing. Having the lead form above the fold, clear call to action, give away a relevant offer. These are a little bit more focused on online marketing, removing navigation, etc. But you can see right off the bat, problem solution, show me it works. Have a clear ask. Same formula, again. Okay, let's see what else. Here's another one, 8 tips for copywriting on your landing page. Write an impactful headline. What does that mean exactly? Focus on the value you're offering. Make it clear and simple that everyone understands at a glance. All right, so let's see. What are they saying? Again, one more detail. Sum up what you're offering. Why it's beneficial, and hook them, keep them interested. It seems like, again, they're talking about what are you offering? Why is it beneficial? What is the problem? What is the solution? Okay, let's keep moving. Let's see what they say next. Okay, make your copy easy to scan. That's a visual thing. Make it easy to scan because people will look closely. Great. Okay, boom, boom, boom. What's next? Aha, focus on benefits over features. What did I say earlier? You guys are telling me features of La Lima, and I'm asking you benefits. What's another way to say that? What's the problem you're solving? What's the problem you're solving? Okay? So that's our tip number 3. Tip number 4, include social proof. Proof points. Man, it's really starting to look pretty redundant. Okay, so I've gone ahead and summarized it. Again, have a clear headline, focus on benefits, not features. Include social proof, write compelling call to action. A call to action is when you say, click here to buy, or click here to sign up. That's the call to action. Okay, give away a relevant offer, make visuals that illustrate your offer. Make it search friendly, make it easy to scan, remove navigation. These are the tips that the experts said for a landing page that neatly line up to what is your value proposition, share proof points, have a clear ask, and bring it to life. Again, there's layers. These are very online marketing specific layers you would add on top, but the core essence is still the same. Notice that as we go through all these, the first thing everyone says is the why. Like, what's the problem you're solving? Make it clear to me, right? Whether you're pitching in a sales meeting, asking for fundraising, doing marketing, all the experts say the same thing. Why? What's the value proposition? Okay, so I will pause there. Questions, comments? We have a few more minutes, but I want to circle back to, let's see here. So I want to circle back to the thought of the layering, right? And so what I'm saying to you again is, you got to nail this part, right? And you can kind of see on fundraising, we started to add on layers about your competition, your business model. For marketing, we started to add on layers about making it easy to scan your text or making it search friendly, etc. But at the core, you always start with this part, and that's really what I say. There's, regardless of what you're pitching or what your strategy is, there's a commonality across all the different types of pitches. Okay. So the last thing I also like to think about it, if I raise up at a 30,000 foot level, sometimes people, you'll go home and forget, right? What were the 4 core things? How did they apply to marketing versus sales? I'm not sure. But principles I think to follow that you intuitively understand are a few things. Number 1, I'll start at the bottom actually. Get to the point quickly. I always say this. This is inherently what all the different experts were saying right off the bat. What is the problem you're solving? What is your solution? Get to the point quickly. Whether you're doing an email, whether you're doing an elevator pitch, whether you're in an hour-long sales pitch, get to the point quickly. Immediately. What's the problem? What are you solving? One of the things that we keep talking about, a lot of this was about instilling trust, right? Show me a demo. Show me proof points. Give me statistics about previous users or tests that you ran. You're instilling trust, right? A lot of that's about making it relevant to them. And that's my last point about addressing your audience. So your specific audience, I understand you're going to say, well, wow, like Jeff, you really said it's the same thing to pitch, a wealthy individual angel investor versus a mom and pop customer that might be selling to versus online marketing to a teen buyer that has no money. I'm not saying that the pitch is exactly the same. I'm saying the core is the same, the thinking is the same about those 4 core parts. And then after that, you do have to tailor it and address your specific audience, okay? Right? But it's hard for us in this setting to go through each individual one in depth, but that's the next layer of tailoring it to your specific audience based on what is your strategy, whether fundraising or marketing, and who are you targeting to? Because yes, obviously it would vary different if you were selling something, a homework solution to a university buyer with very little money versus pitching for fundraising to an angel investor. Yes, I get it. The audiences are very different. The core of it is the same, and it's up to you to figure out how to tailor it based on your strategy and your audience. But we can also talk about that in our one-on-one sessions. Okay, so that's it. I've tried to boil it down to you. And the last thing I just want to emphasize again and again and again is I think you can nail this core part right, and it buys you a lot of freedom if you don't get the other parts 100% right. If you get this part right, if you're going to the venture competition and you nail this part, you're already ahead of the competitors right there. Okay. The rest of it's details. They're important, but this is the most important part. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Questions? Comments? Okay, I see a lot of picture taking, so I assume that's good. I will send the deck out to Addie afterwards, and she'll send it around to everybody. I assume people have individual questions, so I'm happy to chat about those afterwards. Okay, but with that, I think we ended 13 minutes early, so we have time for individual questions, and I'll be here. We can chat one-on-one. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.